StreamYard. Stream is live. Oh my gosh.
That was weird. All right. Now we're live. StreamYard be acting weird sometimes. You never know. All right. You guys are ready?
Okay, I confirm. We are, in fact, live.
All right. Here we go.
On the Universal S Epic.
The what?
I've got that
On
one.
YouTube, it says Universal S Epic.
Yeah, it did something to the... Yeah, I'll fix that later. Yeah, it's weird. All right, here we go. On this episode of the Culturesmash cast, AMC becomes a movie studio.
Christopher Nolan is not backing down.
And how epic is Universal's epic universe?
It's the Culturesmash cast, episode 640 for January 31st, 2024. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of the Culturesmash cast. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to Culturesmash cast.
Zach?
I'm a dumbass, but I'm here.
True.
I do things.
You
I
do.
see things, I know things, and I do things.
I think that's questionable. That's questionable.
On which aspect?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it's questionable.
I don't
to me.
see things?
Yeah. You don't do things and you don't know things.
I will say, you see things more than Steve.
But everybody sees things more than me. You're setting the bar pretty fucking low.
I'm just trying to help.
All right. I respect that. All right. So join us every Wednesday night live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitch, because we're not doing Facebook anymore. Starting at around 6:15 CST. Follow us on your favorite platform. Any of those will work, and join the conversation because we do keep the chat open. So, and try our best to keep up with it. Special thanks to Skinny Mixes for supporting the Culturesmash cast. Skinny Mixes are coffee and dessert syrups that are 0 sugar, 0 calorie, and 0 to 2 carbs. Head on over to skinnymixes.com and try some of their delicious syrups, such as the white chocolate and salted dark chocolate, salted caramel, and the variety of cocktail mixes they offer, including the margarita mix and their additional fruit infusions, which is a water infusion, which is great for a lot of things. Use promo code Culturesmash for 15% discount on your order. Spend $50 and get free shipping. So what's everybody been up to? Nico, what's going on with you?
Yeah, just family stuff, baby stuff, the same old, same old. We can get to it later, but I did see Poor Things over the weekend, which
yeah, we can talk about that.
Fascinating movie. And yeah, that's probably the long story.
Zach, what about you, boy?
I got a new bed.
Yes, you did.
Yo, we are king bed now.
Man, when you go to the king size bed, you can't go back.
Look, it hurts, but
it hurts.
I have room on the bed. There's room for the cats. It's a bed.
It is.
It's a bed.
It's the simple adulting pleasures.
And that's basically all I did over my weekend was basically set that shit up. Oh, wait. I went to the symphony.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's right. What did you see the symphony?
Video games live.
Oh, they do that every year now, don't they?
No, they do it like once a decade.
Is it? I feel like I just heard about it.
No.
Damn. Time flies.
That's okay, Jay. Okay, so what's really funny is, so it's the symphony playing all these video game themes while there's projection of like the game, and it's all synchronized and everything. There was like 2 games that I had played that they played. Everything else was like,
oh, real quick.
I mean, I've heard of it.
Real quick, we got to pause real quick because my friend Jamie Hill is in the chat, better known as the mom from Skinamarink.
Oh, hey.
Is in the chat.
Hey.
What's happening?
You were in a scene that you scared the piss out of me.
It's so funny because we did a stream. She was on with me and Dustin on TikTok last week for about an hour and a half. And that was the first thing somebody said in the conversation.
Yeah, it's the scariest scene like in a very long time.
It really is.
Just look under the bed.
Yep.
I don't want to.
And she just says, hello, everyone. And now she's laughing at your weakness. She's laughing.
Okay, everyone in that theater, you could feel that entire sold out crowd just back away from the
She's
screen.
laughing at the superior intellect. What is that from?
I don't know.
Do you know what it's from, Nico? I'm
Nope.
laughing at the superior intellect. It's from Wrath of Khan.
Should have known that.
Yep. I was gonna say I didn't figure you would know, but I thought Nico might know. Well, cool. So for me, I had the terrible experience. Well, and you actually referenced this too in our pre-production talk of realizing that there's so few movies in January that we've seen everything.
Yeah.
Our local art house theater, we've seen everything, so we couldn't go to the movies.
Well, our art house theater is basically it's the Oscar leftovers.
Yeah,
So
which we've seen them all.
Yeah, we've seen.
Yeah. And I really wanted to hit 12 movies for January because that's the average that I have to hit for 150. And I'm not going to like get screwed again and not finish it this year. So any month I can hit 12, I'm going to hit 12. And I did, but I had to go like really scratch the bottom of the barrel. I saw The Boys in the Boat. And I guess we could talk about that in a minute. But that's all I did this weekend was see that movie.
Jamie says you haven't seen Grotesque on Tubi.
No, you're right, Jamie. It is, and I am maintaining on my gadget here. I am maintaining a list of movies, and Grotesque is at the top of it because that is another movie. That's a horror comedy that she's in.
Really?
It's over on Tubi. Yes. So Jamie she does a lot. She's a voice actress also. So yeah, she does a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it is definitely on my to watch list. So it'll probably happen this weekend, most likely, because watching movies during the week for me is stupid.
I hate to say this. Which Grotesque? There's a 2009 and a 2022.
It will be the 2022.
Both on Tubi.
Yeah.
And they're both called Grotesque.
Well, and the easy thing to do is look in the cast list.
I just Googled it. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, there's two of them.
Yeah. I would just look in the cast list to make sure. She said I'm not scary in that one. So, all right. Let's see. Also, hey, what's up? Cameron is in the chat. Hey, everyone.
Caveman.
Hey, Caveman. Yeah. Hit the like button. He's right. Hit the like button. Welcome back, Caveman. You were with us last week. That's cool. So, yeah. So I just saw one movie, and I went and tasted hot sauce at the hot sauce place because I went to the mall to see the movie. So that's really about it for me.
Did you follow it up with a moonshine place?
No, I didn't, but I should have done that next time.
Free now? Isn't it free?
What's that?
The moonshine samples they give, isn't it free?
I don't know. It used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if you have hot sauce, you follow it up with alcohol to cut it.
Oh, is that
That's the reasonable thing.
Yeah.
Is that the move from the biggest hot sauce wuss there is?
I mean, it is a known thing.
Tis known.
Tis known, Khaleesi.
All right, so let's get into the movies because we've got a few stories to talk about. Let's look at the box office. And it was funny because when I sent this out, Zach originally thought that I didn't change the box office because literally...
Yeah, looking
it
at the
didn't
top
change.
10, it's like, wait, isn't this last week's?
Because nothing came out last week. There was a Snoop Dogg had a movie come out. It was the only wide movie, and that one was barely wide. So here's the list. Number 10 was Night Swim. It made another $2 million. It's made 26.7 so far. Number 9 is American Fiction. It made another 2.5 million. It's made 11.4 in total. Number 8 is Godzilla -1. I'm happy to see this one still in the top 10.
Well, it actually got a bump because it got re-released, which is, I know we're talking about clunky Japanese movie titles, but Godzilla -1 minus color is still not the weirdest Japanese titled name I have ever heard.
That's true. That's true.
No, it's not. I think it is clever how they titled that as the black and white version of the movie, but it can be confusing.
Perfect example is I do these live streams all the time over on TikTok, and it never fails that someone asks me to watch Paprika, and I'm like, just based off the name, I don't care. But it's supposed to be great. I know. I hear it's great. It's a weird ass name. So anyway, Godzilla -1 made 2.7. It's made 55.1 so far. I know.
You're missing out on a good movie.
I'll watch it eventually. Number 7 is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It made 2.7. It's made 118 so far. People keep seeing this movie. Number 6 is Poor Things. It made 2.9 million. It's made 24.6 so far. Do we stop and talk about this here or after the list?
Let's
talk about it.
What did you say, Nico? You
knock out the list.
Knock out the list. All right.
You suck.
Number 5 is Anyone But You. It made 4.6 million. It's made 71 million so far. Number 4 is Migration. That one made another 4.8 million. It made 101 million. My sister took kids to see this movie, and even she was like, man, this wasn't very good. And she's so easy to please. I'm like, oh, damn. All right. Number 3 is Wonka. It made 5.6 million. It's made 194 million, almost 195 million so far.
That movie is sticking around about as well as I thought it would.
Well, it is, and also January's been real bad, so
that's one reason I thought it would stick around.
Man, it's a good thing somebody bet on that one and not Aquaman.
Number 2 is The Beekeeper. It made 6.6 million. It's made 41.5 million so far, and people are loving this movie. And I understand a weak script and just doing a fun action movie, but the action scenes in this movie I didn't think are very good. So I don't know. I guess it's desperation.
I think it's
we are solely in fuck you, it's January.
Yeah, it's relative of whatever else is out right now.
Gotta be.
You put this up against Mad Max, and this movie doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's like putting a can of Spam up next to a steak. It's like, for real?
Okay.
That's an unfair competition.
It is. I would say if you put this movie up against something like Upgrade, for example. Upgrade is a badass little low-budget action movie. That's how you do low-budget action. Upgrade. It's so good. Number 1 is Mean Girls. It made 6.9 million. It's made 60 million so far. And opening new this week, the only thing is Argyle. And then at the time I got the percentage, it was 34% of Rotten Tomatoes. So, that's going to be a bullet. That's going to be a painful bullet in my butt when I see that this weekend, because I'm definitely seeing it.
So, telling you now.
Don't tell me.
Well, I think there's an after credits scene.
Oh, great. Not the extended universe.
Let me just double check that.
It's going to be...
yes, there is a post-credit scene.
Oh, someone says in the chat that they dislike hot sauce. That makes me sad. Jamie, hot sauce is delicious.
Join me in the hot sauce hatred.
You a little bitch, though. That's a problem for you.
I have no defense because it's true. No lies
All right.
detected.
So finally, the three of us have seen Poor Things.
Yes.
So Zach and I have talked a lot about this already, so I'm very interested to hear your take on Poor Things, Nico.
I thought it was a very good movie and a very uncomfortable movie. Like, once you realize, I knew the spoilers, I guess. Well, spoiler warning for Poor Things. But once I knew the basics going into it of Emma Stone's character essentially being a Frankenstein-esque creation. Okay, good. Roll into that. But once you learn about like how she is actually created and the whole mother-infant dynamic there, and realizing all the things that happened to her, especially in the early parts of the movie, are happening to an infant, essentially, or it is her super aging is happening, kind of toddler and so on. And I'm like, I just got an infant a year ago. This is super uncomfortable for me as a father.
It really is. Well, also, real quick, Avocado Antics in the chat says, Poor Things is wild. And
wild is great. Wild is a perfect word for it. But it does a really good job of not really sexualizing the sexual content. Like, it's not period. It's not, hot and sexy.
Yeah, it doesn't feel gratuitous, even though it kind of is in a few places, but it doesn't feel it. It's not like, ooh, look how hot this is. It's like, ooh, this is what's fucking happening right now.
Yeah, there's never
a bit where in the room.
What?
Go ahead, Nico.
You're just stuck in the room like those two kids watching their father teach them how to fuck.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that.
There's never any bit where it feels like the movie is trying to turn you, the audience member, on. Like, you are not supposed to get hyped up on Emma Stone in this movie.
And there's some scenes, like the self-discovery aspects of this
God
movie.
Damn it, that scene.
When she just takes the apple, I'm like, not the apple! What are you doing with not the apple?
Dude, when it was amazing with an audience because you can literally hear the audience like
just squeeze
realize.
up.
You can hear them realize what's going on,
and it just everybody contracted. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
their
god, this
skin-
is so cringe.
their
It's so-
skin just
Yeah.
stretching.
This was definitely pretty special moment to see this movie in the theater, just because.
Yeah.
Nico, did you have an audience, or were you pretty much by yourself? Yeah.
No. It was definitely an audience. It wasn't a packed theater, but it was definitely, you could hear the reactions of everyone in there when
Shifting in their
the
seats.
apple happened.
Avocado says wrong fruit. Yep. Maybe you. I feel like she should have went for the vegetables. I mean,
This is the horrible part, because it's like, I think it would almost be better if they just showed what the hell was happening, because by not, I'm going, what the hell is she doing with it?
How does that work?
Is
does
it the whole thing, or just
Yeah, exactly. It's like you wanted to stick a stick in it, like a caramel apple or something, so at least you could hold on to it. So it's interesting as a movie, though, because I've seen some people say, and it made me think about it in this way, that Poor Things was a better coming of age feminist realization than Barbie.
agree?
And I feel like the more I think about it, the more I agree. And I didn't think about it necessarily in that way when I saw it.
Because it's more subtle than Barbie, that doesn't have a sequence where somebody literally gets on a box and explains to the audience the main theme.
Yeah. The one counter I would make to that is that there is a good argument for accessibility, because Poor Things is not going to be loved by the mainstream audience.
Yeah, true. And also, Poor Things, Barbie is a movie that was specifically trying to lean into kids a little bit, where Poor Things definitely is not for kids. So
no.
Dude, if you take your kid to Poor Things,
you're fucked up.
You're fucked up.
Yeah, you're fucked up. But yeah, thinking about it in that way, it's just interesting, because her part of her coming of age or coming to realize herself and her body and all that stuff, is she fully realized how men treat women. And that is hugely impactful in this movie, but done in a more subtle way. And it's weird to say that in a movie that is definitely not subtle, because Poor Things is not a subtle movie.
I want to punch that baby. I want that as my text ringtone.
Let me see. Just making sure there's nothing else additional. Just the wrong fruit. Okay.
Avocado Annex says 100, like is in regards to
like she's agreeing. Better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so. Nico, let me ask you this: would this movie have impacted your top 10 list?
Yeah, I didn't. I know it would have impacted the list. I didn't go and re-edit my list afterwards, but
yeah, I don't think that's fair to do.
Yeah,
I don't think that's fair to do, because the way we do our lists of what we've seen up to the moment where we did them.
Well, true, but I didn't like go look at my list and go, where would I have put this in it? Is what I mean. And but yeah, it definitely probably would have impacted it, because I thought it was definitely an entertaining movie. It was a moving movie. It doesn't make you think. You laugh both because it's legitimately funny, but also because there were just so many moments that are uncomfortable that you can only laugh to deal with it. And it is a very well put together movie. Like, just design wise, it looks cool. I love the pseudo alt history that it has going on. I love the kind of like manufactured stage setup of the world. It feels like it has almost some Wes Anderson aesthetics to it, but not as flat. And
that's fascinating, because now that you say that, it's like Wes Anderson in a fever dream.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's this like wonderful, almost steampunk, but just a barely touch on it.
I feel like you see more of that in the Willem Dafoe character somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could, and not just his face, but his clothes and everything has that sort of steampunk vibe.
And I forget which city they were in at the time, but there was one where it was a wide shot and you see the like the blimps in the distance in the sky, and there's one that's just shaped like Saturn for some reason, and it's I think when they were the place before Paris had a lot of like when they were in Portugal, when they were in Lisbon, they had a lot of like rail lines just going through the city. It's like this is so cool looking of a place.
Absolutely. That's why I'm kind of seeing the argument now that maybe this movie could slip in and take some of those production design and stuff like that from Barbie, which is the movie I assumed would win those awards. But now there's a race.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Poor
I mean,
Things
both are very good. But
yeah, I
Poor
mean,
Things
like
was
the
more
realization of the
original.
Barbie dream house and stuff like that is pretty stunning.
But they had stuff to base it on. This almost feels more original, and they are crafting this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because the whole thing was shot on sound stages, but I mean, which is fine. It's going for this,
And it's going for that aesthetic.
yeah.
It's not trying to like pretend it's not, which is cool.
Is weird because it felt like soundstagey, but it's a world I could see that's livable, that's beyond a soundstage, like a lived-in world,
Yeah.
while still being stylistic.
But I feel like somehow that actually is due to the characters, because they own it so well.
Mm-hmm.
If the acting wasn't as good as it is, it wouldn't be it. You wouldn't feel that as much, I don't think.
No.
But also the stuff that they put in the soundstage is so much better than what it could have been. It could have just been a green screen, or they could have done the stupid Mandalorian thing and shot it up against that giant
Which
projector.
they did for some scenes,
but they didn't hide it. It was
stylistic in a way to where like when they're on the boat and they're walking on the decks,
mm-hmm.
that's the void.
Mm-hmm.
But it works.
They went for it. They owned it, is what I mean. They didn't try to like pretend, oh, you're in a real world here.
No.
Well, they use it to amplify the sets. Like doing the boat scene on water, like building the boat that they used would have been costly for one.
Mm-hmm.
So they used the void technology and the CGI when they had to in areas where it just didn't work to do practical effects. But everything else they did practically where they could.
Yeah. So Willem Dafoe's performance was excellent as usual, and everybody's performance was so good in there. It's just that Emma Stone is so good.
Man, she is really good.
She's so good in the movie.
And if you're like, okay, gun to your head, who's the better performance, Emma Stone or fucking what's her name from Killers of the Flower Moon?
Lily
Dude, just pull the trigger. Yeah, Lily Gladstone. It's like just pull the trigger, man.
So, oh god,
that hurts, and it's gonna hurt. And
it's gonna hurt when one of them wins and the other one doesn't. It's gonna suck.
Can we just split it? Can we just please split it?
It'll be worse if neither win it.
And that would piss me off way more if neither one of them wins, because one of them has to win.
I would probably toss one of Steven's chairs.
And you want to know what also is kind of sad is this is like maybe a career best performance by Mark Ruffalo, and no one's talking about
what are you talking about? He's nominated for an Oscar.
I know, but he's not in any conversations because Emma Stone is just so transformative. I mean, and I had this whole discussion the other day with somebody about who would win like those types of awards, and it really is a transformative thing. They're looking for someone who disappears into the role. And that's why Margot Robbie did not get nominated.
No, it was Margot Robbie the whole time.
Well, and also, if you say, oh, Margot Robbie is Barbie, she's perfect, well, then she's not transforming herself. If
the movie literally says casting Margot Robbie might not be the best choice for this role.
Yeah. And then you look at Emma Stone, and she becomes something completely different. And then
her at the start of this film versus her at the ending, it's acting wise,
different characters.
Yeah. That whole process throughout the movie of aging, essentially, of like growing from an infant to an adult is phenomenal. And just really the vocal cues alone that she has to deal with are amazing. But it is really easy for that to overshadow every other performance. Like Willem Dafoe, he gets prosthetic work, so that's going to stand out too. But you're right, Ruffalo. This could very well be Ruffalo's best performance ever. He's disgusting in this movie in a way that I don't know if I would have ever pictured Ruffalo being that kind of a cat.
Exactly,
and he's really good in it.
And there is a series of videos. I think you can see them other places too. I watched Variety does this really cool series where they take actors and give them sort of talking points, but not questions. Just here's what we kind of want to hear you guys talk about with each other, and just let them talk. And Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr. do it together, and Robert Downey Jr. is fascinated by the level of nudity that Ruffalo had to do, and the conversation is hilarious and just cool. So I recommend going and finding that actors on actors series that they do and listening to them talk about it, because Ruffalo's reactions to it are really funny.
It's a
Because it
lot.
really was a stretch for him. It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm glad you saw it. Did Tina see it?
No, she didn't get a chance to saw it. She will eventually, but I don't know how urgent it will be on our timetable. But
Mhm.
no, I got to see it on the weekend while she had baby duty, because I watched Evie while she had a book club. So tit for
Oh,
tat.
that's right. Yeah, the swap. The swap.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to see it in the theater, because I really think it's such a weird and interesting movie. It's fun to see it in the crowd. I've been thinking about Yorgos Lanthimos for a hot minute after seeing this movie. What is my favorite movie in his catalog? Because I pretty much like everything.
The favorite.
The favorite is, I almost lean to the favorite, but is it because it's the better, or is it because it's just so approachable? Because the favorite is his most.
I watched it twice in one day.
I know, it's so good. It's so good. So for me, I love Poor Things, but it's still probably the favorite, or Killing of a Sacred Deer, because I love that.
I think the favorite works for me. Like Zach said, he watched it twice in one day. I think it's the rewatchability of that movie helps a
The
lot more.
writing, the acting.
Like this
the
one,
only thing the favorite does worse in regards to Poor Things is use of wide angle lens.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
Which I
that's
feel like he was testing.
I was going to say that's a you thing more than anybody
Yeah.
else thing.
Look, there's some shots of Poor Things to where, like, it's like a peephole.
Yeah, I know. It's
Which
beautiful.
I'm curious how the hell that's going to work on at home,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
because on a big screen it looks
fine.
normal.
Yeah,
but
it's great.
eh.
We'll see when we get that 4K.
How does it look on your fucking phone, David Lynch?
Oh, not the David Lynch. All right, we should jump into some stories. We've got a few here. All right, so shit. So it's me first.
Yeah, it's you.
What the hell? I don't do stories. I'm doing Tina. Our
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
yeah. I did read through the story. I did more than you do. I did do that. I did.
I read
sort of
The
prepare.
paragraph of mine.
Yeah. So Tina's not with us because what is she doing tonight, Nico? I forgot.
baby stuff.
Baby stuff. That's right. All right. So AMC Theaters is continuing its foray into the distribution business following the Taylor Swift Eras Tour film and the Renaissance film, the Beyonce movie. I have so many thoughts about this. The world's largest cinema circuit revealed Wednesday it has pacted with fifth season to release the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck produced documentary Kiss the Future in the US. The acclaimed film chronicles the vibrant underground music scene during the siege of Sarajevo and U2's involvement, culminating in their concert in 1997. Unlike the Beyonce and Swift concert films, Kiss the Future will play exclusively in select AMC locations. The film, which will receive a full theatrical run beginning February 23rd, will stream later this year on Paramount Plus. So this is a partnership between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's company, AMC, and Paramount, which, who knows, maybe Paramount will be owned by HBO or Warner Brothers pretty soon. This goes more into who directed the film and that kind of thing, but I'm less interested in that part of it. I'm more interested in discussing this whole distribution thing. Let's see, Kiss the Future featuring U2's Bono, The Edge, and Adam Clayton, journalist. This just talks more about the movie. I want to talk with you guys about what you think about AMC becoming a film distribution studio. That was the reason I put this in here to begin with.
I mean, I guess my thoughts on it is it's not a remake. It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's not a reboot. It's not based on anything. It's original programming. It's a documentary, which how often do those get released in widespread markets?
Not the widespread.
Yeah, the widespread market. I'm for it.
AMC will host an early screening February 21st, and that will include an introduction by Damon and Affleck, as well as a Q&A featuring the director and other people that were in the movie. Fifth season. Okay, this is just about fifth season. So that's not even to the point of what got me curious about this is when the tables are turned and Disney, for example, wants to buy movie theaters to show movies, we don't like that. We don't like that crossing of the streams because it becomes monopolistic.
That's a monopoly of saying you will show this on your largest screen for approximately 3 weeks. We will have this on 4 screens, and you will say nothing or you won't get your film.
Okay, so the flip side is if AMC
we're just going to show this.
Well, this is what it is now. This is their third movie, though. It gets bigger and bigger, and we get to a point where they're like, we have our movie. Maybe we want to give it the priority screens. What's the difference?
I mean, this was the monopoly busting that was happening in early Hollywood in the first place when studios did own movie theaters. That was busted up because trying to stop what we're talking about right now. So it is weird now that we are getting into a similar place again because as more and more movie studios get bought up by larger movie studios, Disney buying up half of everything, Warner Brothers buying up half of everything,
Amazon buying up half of everything.
Yeah, so we're getting less independent studios, and then we're also getting less independent theaters because they're probably going to be a Regal or an AMC, and it's just going back into being a monopolistic market. We're not quite there yet because there's some competition, but it's not far off on the horizon. I don't know a good way to like it. Like I don't have a problem with like this specific instance because it's not like this kind of movie is going to be the blockbuster that AMC is going to keep in its largest theaters for weeks on end. And it's definitely something that's will get people coming in, but it's not the same extent as, say, a Marvel blockbuster or something. Not that is what it used to be.
This leads into my point, which is demand. This documentary, would you put on your largest screen? Is it going to sell that many tickets? I would say a medium screen, sure. Taylor Swift, absolutely. Put it on the largest screen because the demand is there. You're going to put some, frankly, I'm sorry, smaller film in a giant, your largest screens, you're going to cut your...
See, that's not even my point, though. Of course, I agree with you. They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that.
But this is
until you get to one.
This is a momentum that builds, though.
Yeah.
This is my thing.
Yeah.
They're doing a small movie now, but 5 years from now, are they doing a Marvel movie?
Exactly.
A Marvel level movie. And all of a sudden, that small movie doesn't get anywhere to be because they've got 5 screens for Disney and Warner Brothers, and the other 5 are AMC movies. You see what I mean? So if you don't like it one way, if you don't want the studios buying control of theaters, I think it's dangerous to like the theaters buying control of movies and becoming a studio. It's kind of the same thing to me.
And what if you want to go see this and you're not in an AMC area?
Location, right? Yeah,
you could be
the
all
largest
real
theater chain in the world.
But it doesn't mean there's AMCs everywhere.
Yeah.
Is this exclusive to AMC?
It is.
Was the Taylor Swift film exclusive to AMC?
No, but this one is. And see, that's what I'm telling you. You can see this sort of progression that's happening.
I guess, to me, this is entirely dependent upon demand. If the audience is there, then it's justified. If the audience is not there and you're hijacking screens, this is a takeover. What I mean by that is, if everybody wants to go see Marvel, then put Marvel on enough screens to where you can occupy your audience.
Okay, so let's talk about the demand.
I get on Disney for doing that same shit when Doctor Strange came out and it was on 27 screens in a 30-screen theater. That's bullshit.
Okay, So let me put it to you this way. Let's talk about the demand for a second.
Yeah.
Because I've been really thinking about this, and it just I don't know how to feel. So let's say you've got a big movie that there's a lot of demand for.
Yeah.
But AMC gets maybe 2 or 3 or 4, 5 points on every ticket sale at most. But you've got an AMC movie that maybe only has a quarter of that demand, but they get 15 points or 20 points on each ticket sold. They're going to make more money on the smaller movie than they would make on the big movie because they own that movie.
Okay. That is going to be me not going to AMC. That is me voting with my money.
No, I agree with you, but you see what I'm saying? It's not about how many butts are in seats. It's about how many dollars are in the pocket. And that's the thing that's interesting to me.
Then I won't be going to AMC like I haven't been going.
And you won't have to, because they'll make enough money off the people that do to make it profitable and stay the course.
And okay, well, I'm going to put my obnoxious ass on the table.
But I mean,
thank God I have a Regal and an art house. And
but to both of you guys, does that make sense though?
No, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I do think it's a slippery slope. This film, like I said, is not dangerous on its own because it's not going to threaten the kind of studio theater chain warring that it could. But if AMC decided, you know what, we're going to put all of our money and we're going to buy the Bond franchise, buy a large franchise, and we're going to produce all the movies in this franchise. AMC is going to be the owner of. AMC buys Warner Brothers. AMC buys Warner Brothers and produces all everything there, which I mean, or Paramount. Where Paramount is seemingly shopping around for owners. Like so, AMC buys Paramount and produces all the Star Trek movies, and they are only available on AMC theaters. It's like that is a problem.
And see, my initial instinct was to like really. Zach is on call for his day job, so he had to take a call. Was to be supportive because the movie theaters have been struggling. You know, it's just since before pandemic really, but since pandemic in particular, the theaters have been struggling. So if they can find a way to sustain themselves and like be profitable and keep the theaters going, like my initial instinct is always like, yeah. And the Taylor Swift deal, I guess it didn't register as much with me because I guess maybe I didn't think of it like a movie. It was more like an event, you know, and anybody can rent theater space. Anybody can do that.
And that's
so
I took the events the same way. It's basically not that AMC is really producing the Taylor Swift or the Beyonce specials, but they've teamed up with a production company to put them in theaters. And that's fine. I mean, all theaters in movies are in some way a team up of the theater chain and the movie studios to put them in the theater chain. But the question is if AMC gets into actual production of making decisions on films, making decisions on the kinds of films that get made based on what they think its audience can support, pushing out other production companies that could be airing things in their theaters. It is a slippery slope. That doesn't mean we're going to go down that slope, but it has happened before. Like I said,
and honestly, this whole thing, the reason we're in this position that we're in, and people can say whatever the fuck they want to say, but during the Trump presidency, that's when the deregulation of this whole thing started. There was lobbies that pushed from Disney, mostly, I think, if I remember correctly, pushed to get this deregulation happening. Because Netflix and Disney both want to own theaters. And now Netflix owns them. I don't know if Disney's actually bought any or not, because they sort of refocused in trying to buy out Hulu. And that's what they've been working toward. But that deregulation was put in place and opened up the floodgates during that particular presidency to let this happen. And
the only benefit I would say to Disney buying theaters is I think they would be better run if Disney bought theaters. I've got a cheap AMC over by us, an AMC Classic that used to be a Carmike, and it is not in the best of shapes. And I know if Disney was running it, it would be a better product, but it would be a Disney product.
Yeah. And see, at the end of the day, the thing that I don't want to see, like if I think I respect that AMC is experimenting with other avenues to stay profitable. But I think what happens is you have a 10 screen theater, for example, and you have 6 screens or 7 that are dedicated to Disney and Warner Brothers. And then you have 3 or 4 that are AMC movies. And all of a sudden, Neon can't get a freaking movie in the theater. You know, A24 is big enough. I think they can always eke out a screen at this point. But these Bleecker Street, for example, is another company. I really like to look at a lot of the things that they put out. These smaller to barely mid-range studios that do independent stuff or import foreign stuff are going to struggle to get screens in the largest theater chain in the world. And that's the thing that scares me. So I don't know. I just find the whole thing interesting. I think it's really, really early days, but it's really something interesting to watch and see how it's going to go.
Agreed.
The other side is it's a documentary being put in the theater, which is kind of cool. I'll probably go see it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I'm not going to freaking go. I won't see it in the theater because I don't have an AMC close to me. And I have the Regal Unlimited, so that's where my loyalties lie. So I probably won't see it in the theater. Damn it, I'll watch it on Paramount Plus. That's what'll happen. All right, so while Zach's on his call, let's skip ahead to your story, and we'll come back to him.
All right, from the Hollywood Reporter, Universal Orlando Resort has revealed the first look of one of 5 new lands slated to open as part of its Universal Epic Universe Park in 2025. It also confirmed the themes of 3 additional lands. First up, we have Celestial Park, a land that is said to put the park back into theme park with gardens, waterworks, fountains accompanying an astronomical and mythological inspired architecture. It's supposed to be the gateway into the rest of the park and will feature in-park accommodations, fountain shows, a wet play area, a carousel, dual launching racing roller coaster, and themed restaurants and shops, which that part kind of makes it seem like it's going to be like a Disney Springs kind of area.
It does have that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the park is also going to include the new Universal Helios Grand Hotel, which is a 500-room resort. The other parks will be previously announced and already opened Super Nintendo World. Then we have, unsurprisingly, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, which is going to be a blend of the 1920s Paris-esque era of the Fantastic Beasts films, and of course, the British, more closer to modern day world of Harry Potter. The one I thought was a surprising pull is How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, which is neat, but I would not think that How You Train Your Dragon franchise would warrant a whole realm of its own in this. Basically themed around the Viking-esque world of How to Train Your Dragon and rides featuring dragons. So you can probably picture what that is. And the other...
Whoa, we lost you.
With encounters featuring experiments by a Dr. Victoria Frankenstein and a shadowy landscape home to monsters and myths and the classic Universal monster films. This is all part of a strategy from Universal Destinations and Experience to increase week-long vacations on site. Definitely going for those people that like to stay at Disney for a week, going through all the parks. Featuring more than 50 attractions, entertainment, dining, and shopping experiences. It's the newest of now 4 NBC Universal theme parks in Florida, with the others being Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay. It's supposed to also use high-tech facial recognition software, photo validation technology, and also robotic drone technology. So they're going for definitely a high-tech, very immersive theme park feel.
Yeah, so it feels like their most successful park that they have right now is obviously the Harry Potter stuff, and it's easily the most immersive. Like it, I think in a lot of ways tops anything that Disney even is doing as far as the immersion outside of maybe what's happening in the Avatar park that Disney has. I haven't seen that park, and it looks like it's pretty immersive too. So
Yeah.
I feel like they're really trying to trade on that, which is great. I mean, I'm happy for that. I was kind of agreeing with you. The How to Train Your Dragon one, it's kind of been known for a while that there was a How to Train Your Dragon park, but I know those movies are good. They're good movies, but I just didn't know that IP was that popular.
Well, they are. I mean, I guess so, because they're also making a live action version of the movies.
And maybe they're betting on that a little bit. That's true.
Casting was announced recently. Interestingly enough, the carryover from the animated movies is Gerard Butler's character, who plays the main character's dad, is also going to play the same character in the live action movie.
And I guess the other side of it too is like it's dragons. So even if you don't really know the movie, it's a park with flying dragons in it.
Yeah,
who's not going to be down for that?
I feel like it kind of does remind me of Disney didn't like make an Avatar park. It just added Avatar into the Animal Kingdom park.
Yeah.
But it is a huge aspect of it. And despite the technological innovation of the first Avatar movie that really made it a powerhouse in box office and staying power, but the movie itself isn't that remarkable. So, and the fact that Disney went all in on Avatar is going to be this huge cultural cachet that we're going to dedicate billions on these ride and experience. Maybe that's kind of the same idea that Universal is going for with How to Train Your Dragon. There's enough of a environment built in those movies, just like there's an environment built in Avatar, that they can easily map that onto an engaging theme park.
I guess that makes sense, because if I've never been, like I said, but if I went there, I would really want to see that area of the park, not because I like the movies, because I don't, but the environments in the movies are cool.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the technology that they use in that area of the park is really cool. So I would want to see it.
It is cool. That ride, but like the main Avatar ride, which is essentially like Soarin', but you're riding the flying creature, is super cool. Like it is a thrilling ride and worth the wait on it. So I think it does work. I think that's probably helping Avatar have more of a staying power than, say, The Way of Water did.
You know what? If you're listening to this later, I'm running in, with the volume turned down, the promo video that they released yesterday. It's what's amazing to me is how involved in this that Steven Spielberg is, and I think he adds a lot of credit, like a credibility to it, as far as it being the ride the movies thing, because he's always been big into the Universal theme parks, and I love that he's still heavily a part of it.
I didn't know how to quite take that. I was kind of the other way, because Steven Spielberg is like in the tail end of the promo video. Like they wait until they go through what all the parks are and everything, and Spielberg comes in. It's like, these parks are awesome. They're great to create and all that. And it's a great speech, but the fact that it's so at the tail end of the video makes me wonder quite how much, as a creative consultant, he actually has.
What's a closing act?
New parks that aren't using his IP. Like, that's the fascinating thing. You know what I would have done if I were Universal and working with Steven Spielberg? There would have been a Jurassic Park in this land, just flat out.
I mean, there's a big Jurassic Park area already in the main park, but yeah, I think there's probably some other IP that they could take from Spielberg. I think they should bring back Jaws and do something cool with it.
Yeah.
I
mean, they got water work parks in the Celestial. Maybe they could put Jaws in there too.
That would be amazing. But I feel like he's more like playing the executive producer role in this situation, where he comes in, he helps with the marketing, he helps with the funding, and just kind of like, does the executive producer thing, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
That he cares enough about it is pretty neat, unless he's just doing it for a check. But I don't think Steven Spielberg needs a paycheck.
I think he's probably good.
He's probably doing all right.
Yeah.
Interesting things about this, like we had to talk about it because when this video dropped yesterday, it took over the internet. It was everywhere. Everywhere I went was there were people playing the video, talking about it, just talking about everything because it's such a huge, huge undertaking,
I
and
think
it's not that far off. It's in 2025.
that was exactly what I was about to say. Is that it's so close? Like I'm used to Disney initiatives taking years, and I don't know how long this has already been in development, but the fact that it's opening next year is a really quick timetable.
Well, I know some of the construction started pre-pandemic, and they took advantage of the lockdowns and and expedited a lot of it during that time because I remember watching a lot of videos of them just being able to go in there and work 24 hours a day, whereas a lot of times certain things they would have to do around park hours and stuff like that normally. So maybe that helped.
Yeah.
But I think the hotel situation is something new and interesting. That particular resort is not connected to the park. It's inside the park, which is, I think the closest thing that Disney has is the now are about to be defunct Galaxy's Edge thing that they had, the Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
Because that was technically inside the park also, but I think it's closing.
Yeah, they're shutting that down. I don't know what they're doing with the area, but
it's a shame. That thing was just too expensive. I really want to see the inside of it. It was too much money.
I think it was too expensive and too intimidating. Like super fans may go all in on it, but how immersive you essentially role play in that experience and the cost you spend for it, as opposed to most people just wanting to go stay on Disney property and then go into the parks.
It's the most expensive dinner theater of all time.
Exactly. Yes.
And that didn't work out so well. I'm pumped for this. Like some of it, like the How to Train Your Dragon section, for example, is going to be a park that's like kind of like how I feel about Harry Potter. Like I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but I love that part of the park. I love the Harry Potter areas of the park. They're just so cool. And I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is going to be that too. But the thing I'm really desperate to see more about is the Universal Monsters section.
Yeah,
park.
agreed.
I feel like that's going to be so much fun. But low key, we have a group outside of here that we all went to we did a big Universal trip in 2015, and 2025 is the 10-year anniversary. So there's some discussions of doing the 10-year anniversary and going to see this new park. Although it's going to be crowded as hell that first year.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see about what the cost is going to be because literally now there's so many parks you could do that whole Disney thing. You could do a week and do a different park every day. So it's super cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to see all of this. I love theme parks. I love rides. I love roller coasters. So I'm here for it. I can't wait to see more. The thing that I'm happy about is the Super Mario World opened first in California. We're getting it later, but what we're getting is much bigger than what they got in California. It's a much bigger land.
Oh, there's just more area.
There's just more room, in Florida to spread out than there is in California. So we're just getting a bigger land, so there'll be more places to see and to walk, and probably more restaurants because there's always tons of those. But
I'm curious. I can probably find this out, but I know like how expansive that like the land that Disney owns in Orlando is. Like they still have like maybe 4 times the amount of space the parks take up as undeveloped land that they could still use. So like there's no problem. But I'm curious how much Universal owns out there comparatively to what they're using. Because I mean, this is a new park. It's not redeveloping what they have.
Yeah, this is all new build. No, this is all new build stuff. And interestingly, in a couple of parks, they still have sections that need to be redone. Like, what was that show? There was a show, Fear Factor. Fear Factor. They still have a whole Fear Factor like arena and stuff where they used to do the show live in the park. It's still there. Just nothing is happening with it. It was a COVID break area when they were open during pandemic, where you could go and spread out. And they have a Poseidon Adventure thing that closed, so they still have stuff inside the park to develop out. So it's interesting.
Well, maybe this will siphon people away from those areas so they can develop them more.
They can actually do it. Yeah. So anyway, we'll just keep an eye and see what other cool announcements they make, and see how it goes. But it's really cool. Well, Zach is still on his call, so Nico, you want to read his story? You'll do it better than me.
Sure, I'll do it real quick. So Christopher Nolan appreciates all film projects, big or small, but he says that he will likely continue working on large-scale productions, according to an interview with Time Magazine published online. Nolan said that some of his recent favorite films are smaller scale dramas, including cited Past Lives and After Sun. And though Nolan admires those, he says that he feels a, quote, responsibility to continue making blockbusters, huge cast, huge budgets. His quote is, "I'm drawn to working at a large scale because I know how fragile the opportunity to marshal those resources is." And he continues, "I know that there are so many filmmakers out there who would give their eye and teeth to have the resources I put together. And I feel I have a responsibility to use them in the most productive and interesting way." He has a responsibility to buy an airplane and crash it into an airport.
He sure does. He does. When I saw this article and his quotes, you know what the first thing I thought about was?
What?
When James Cameron won the Oscar and he said, "I'm the king of the world," and people took that so out of context, it like changed the way people felt about him. I don't think this is quite to that extreme because people already think that Christopher Nolan is pretty elitist to begin with. But I think there's a point to what he's saying. I think people lost their minds and got so like over the moon about how he made a big movie and it made a lot of money, with Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. And I think his kind of his point is there's a few filmmakers that can actually do that, and him and Spielberg and a few others. And if they don't do it, people will forget and they'll just lean into CGI movies.
Yeah. Would you rather the money that he spent and that he got to spend making Oppenheimer, which is this visually engaging, very practical movie with huge ensemble cast with big stars, go into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Yeah, exactly. Well, but it wouldn't. And that's the thing. Those movies are done for cheaper. Although I think in the article it says this was $100 million movie, which is a lot of money. But Tenet was $200 million, So it's in the scheme of Nolan films. Yeah, it's not his.
Bought an airplane and crashed it into an airport.
Exactly. But I think the point is to make those movies, have them make money so that the studios continue to see we should do these movies. We should do these movies for the awards and for all that, but they make money. Yeah. And the only way other younger filmmakers are ever going to get the resources that Nolan gets is if people like him continue to show that this kind of filmmaking can make money. And I think
it's like government budgeting, basically, or budgeting anything in either government or a large corporation or something. You have to use your budget or it gets cut down next year. You have to show it's being used so that you can maintain budgeting levels and maybe get more. And if Nolan doesn't use his budgets, if he doesn't make big blockbuster movies, he's not going to get to make big blockbuster movies the next time.
That's a pretty brilliant comparison, actually, to the government money. If they don't spend all the infrastructure money, then they won't get any next year.
Yeah.
The only flip side of it is it's more of a risk for him, because if he spends all the money and then the movie doesn't make the money back, then there's a whole new problem. Now with Oppenheimer, we're lucky because it made nearly $1 billion on $100 million budget. That's pretty incredible. But yeah, I take his point in that way. I can't help but think he just comes off so aloof.
Well, I think it is also there is kind of self-confidence that he should have at this point about he can do this. Like
Yeah.
a Spielberg could do this. Like very few other directors that can command Hollywood to move at their whim because they've proven that they know what they're doing. Like you get the director that basically created the modern Batman and also Interstellar and Tenet and this and Oppenheimer and just like all these huge
Dunkirk,
all these huge blockbuster movies. They're also very relatively intellectual. And also making money. It's like, yes, he gets to have the self-confidence of I have a gift, both creatively, but also in terms of the resources that he can now command. And he has a great power and has a great responsibility.
Not the Spider-Man quote. I should have known that was going to happen.
Yeah, I paused. It's like I gotta go down the road. It's right there.
You started. You got to finish it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an interesting perspective and true. It's just always funny to me. Like I said, he just comes off so elitist, but but I mean, like you said, it's deservedly so in a lot of ways because he makes great shit. All right, let's talk about what's coming out this week physical media wise because there's some good stuff. Thanksgiving is out on Blu-ray. The Conan Chronicles. I need to get this. This is a new 4K box set from Arrow that has both Conan movies in it, but then also Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, both out in box sets individually if you don't want them both. Trainspotting is out in a new 4K digipack, which looks really cool. Silent Night is out in Blu-ray if you want to waste your money because I hear the movie's terrible. Cutting Class, that is actually a 4K. I forgot to put that in there. And then The Prophecy, 1, 2, and 3 in a box set, all in 4K. Of course, that has to come from Vinegar Syndrome because they like to put out, the garbage. Except the first. I like the first Prophecy, to be honest.
I have not seen Conan the Destroyer. I've seen the Barbarian, the first one. I've not seen the second one.
It's all right.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
The reason I never rushed to it. Is like the usual response is like the first one's the good one, the other one's okay.
So
the set looks really good.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's not that it's bad. It's just it's all right. You've got the first Conan movie, which is good as those movies are going to be. Then you have the second one, which is more like on the level of like Beastmaster, and then you have Red Sonja, which is way worse. So
yeah, Red Sonja is an interesting one because like Schwarzenegger is in it. Essentially playing Conan, but never titled Conan. He goes by a different name. I forget what it was, but he's essentially supposed to be Conan because Red Sonja spun out of Marvel's Conan the Barbarian comics. But,
the only thing I could figure is if it was a licensing issue or something.
I really want to dig into like that kind of licensing stuff because like Marvel in like the 80s and maybe early 70s had the Conan the Barbarian comic license, and they had a very long run in Conan. They spun out Red Sonja from that, so they made Red Sonja, but don't have the license to Red Sonja because Red Sonja moved to other publishing companies. Like Conan eventually came back to Marvel and then left Marvel and I think Titan Comics now. While Red Sonja I think is Dynamite published right now, but it's really goes back and forth.
It's crazy. And then who has the who sold the movie rights to the studios that have it at the time they owned the publishing rights? Because who knows? It's kind of crazy. But yeah, when you watch Red Sonja, it's just essentially Conan. You just don't ever say his name.
Can you imagine if that had the Jason Momoa Conan the Barbarian movie?
Hey, that would be fine with me. That movie's really bad, but I'm a completist. I'm such a completist that I very nearly bought a copy of Escape from LA on 4K the other day. No one needs that movie, but I have Escape from New York, so I kind of wanted it. But I didn't buy it because I know I'm not going to actually watch it. I wouldn't watch it. So.
I would get it if I had a set with the Escape from set, but I don't need it on its own.
Yeah, true. That would be more enticing if they did do that. All right, let's bring this baby to an end. I guess Zach's going to be stuck on the phone. Where do we
Yep.
find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me at nicholasqualls.com. Have my links. Blue Sky is the social media of choice these days. Instagram, I post book reviews. I'm going to put a new one up, my 6th book of the year, probably tomorrow, or a book called Black Sun, which is a neat Mesoamerican kind of spin on fantasy, which is a lot of fun. Very topical. A couple of weeks ago, I read Ringmaster, which is about Vince McMahon. And if you're following wrestling news, and particularly Vince McMahon news recently, it's a really good book to kind of figure out the whole story of what's going on.
That's fascinating because I didn't know you cared anything about wrestling.
I don't. I watched Iron Claw, and the guy who wrote, or the person who wrote the book, I'm sorry, also wrote a fantastic Stan Lee biography that I read last year.
Oh wow! I said, wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's great and very depressing, and so is this one. And the friend of mine that recommended the Stan Lee one also recommended the Ringmaster because it was like, this guy wrote these 2 biographies that are really good. And so I just had space on my docket. I was in a wrestling mindset because of Iron Claw, so I read it, and dear Lord, Vince McMahon seems like a terrible person.
He really does. What little I know, he seems like a terrible person.
Yes.
So find Zach at Master of the Matrix 94 on Discord and on Instagram. There you go. Yep. Find me at OTS Movies on TikTok and Letterboxd. I'm doing a Pushing 150 where I'm going to see 150 films in theater this year. And I'm rating and mostly reviewing every single movie over on that Letterboxd account. And over on TikTok, I posted daily videos over there about physical media, filmmaking, that kind of thing. And also doing Wednesday night streams with people in the filmmaking industry. Tonight, we are talking with the head of acquisitions for MVD Entertainment, which does boutique releases of movies like Swamp Thing and The Ghoulies, those kind of things, like 60s, 70s, 80s, and a little bit of 90s sort of retro stuff. They're a really cool company. So follow me on all that. We'll see you about next week.
Bye, everybody.